speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Monday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell, and we're starting another week off, and we are yet another week closer to fall sports getting completely under roll. And we know golf already started, of course, but completely underway.
We only have one more Friday without high school football, folks. There's only one more. This upcoming Friday is the last Friday, but there's plenty of scrimmages going on too. So I mean, technically, not like there's no football, I guess, going on. But last week with no official games, as we got kickoff in just what is it now, Ant? 13 days are we at? No, it's even less. It would be less than. It would be like 11, I think, right now.
It's 7 and then 8, 9, 10 days.
10 days.
Thursday.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about the Thursday kickoff. 10 days, dude. We're almost on. We're down to 2 hands now. We got 2 hands.
Don't forget about Thursday.
Yeah, those you can't really. Those Thursday matchups that are in store. Oh man, it's gonna be.
Do you count today still? We're at noon. We still have most of the day to go through.
I'd say too. We're kind of like, it's like a half day, right? I feel like 12 o'clock is your good half point. There's I think it's going to be exciting coming up for fall sports. You got soccer that's going to be starting, volleyball too. That's all starting that same week as football, and like you said too, and golf already underway.
By the way, it's not the good half point. It's the half point. Noon is half of a day.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Noon is half of the day, but it's kind of weird because, like, how many people are actually up for, like, you're up from like 6 until 12, and then you're probably up another like 9 hours. You go to bed at like 9, 10 o'clock, so you're actually up for like 10 hours past noon. So.
Technically, it's 24 hours a day, and it's 12.
Yeah. I mean, technically, it's your half day. So, I mean, if we want to be on technicalities.
The Earth is spinning faster.
Yeah.
We might be, I think it's 1.59 milliseconds behind halfway at 12.
Well, here we are. Here we are.
Who had the Earth spinning faster than normal on their bingo card?
There you go. Anthony did. He signed him up for it right there. But now football season is coming upon us this just rapidly too. That's last Friday, like we said, last Friday without high school football. And boy, oh boy, that Thursday night games, Friday night games, the slate that we have, it's going to be so exciting. It's going to be a wild night on the network. Mike Ackelson going to be back for Audible Call. You're going to be in the studio. I'll be out on a game too. And I mean, it's going to be another great wild Friday night frenzy. And it's going to actually kick off, like you said, Thursday night frenzy too for YSN.
And that's not the end of the weekend because volleyball, sets up on Saturday morning. So
I might as well just like get myself 2 tall Red Bulls and not go to bed because I think I got.
I'm staying up to volleyball
on my schedule over there. I think I got a volleyball match like the next morning. I guess for volleyball after the first football Friday. So it's like right into it.
We're doing like last season. It was like Audible Call and then the post game show. Get out of here at like 11:30, 10:30 to 11 ish. Go home, go to bed, get up the next morning, get ready for a volleyball game.
Oh, I
That's
always forget too. The Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard show that we had last year was it's exactly what what the name has in store for it too. It's electric, and you get to hear some great interviews too. That people that pop in too. It's a fun time.
We get people live from the bus, announcers live from their cars.
It's a great time too. But you really with that scoreboard show too and the post show, you really get to see kind of the chaos and madness behind the scenes then for like the announcers, the studio workers, like everyone that makes those Friday night football nights happen too for YSN. You get to kind of see behind the curtain into all the madness.
Yeah, definitely. And then we go right into the full week. But speaking of things that are on a bingo card, if you had us talking to Angela Jones, the head coach of Springfield Volleyball, on the bingo card, you can put a bingo dapper there because he's coming on today at 12:15. You also will hear from Tim Cooper today at 1 o'clock. He is the head coach of West Branch football, and that'll be a fun time. Alyssa Birch, that's on me. I know we promoted her on the show yesterday, coming on today. I wrote down the wrong date. She's scheduled for tomorrow. She'll be here tomorrow at 12. So Alyssa Birch from Boardman tomorrow at 12, along with Kelsey Benio from South Range Girls Soccer tomorrow as well. Just to go over some other coaches that we have confirmed for the coming days. Next week, we have a couple of soccer coaches that have wanted to wait until after the 13th. So they're coming on next Monday. We have Cheryl Fico from West Branch Girls Soccer, who are going for their 10th straight EBC championship. They know how to win over there, man. And then we're also going to be talking to Matt Britton from Mooney Boys Soccer next Monday, the 15th.
We're not strangers to Matt Britton either. He's been a mainstay on this show for quite some time. He was I think featured in a few episodes last season.
I think we got him and Mike Bailey both more than any other soccer coach last year.
And hey, they got a lot of love too, and we're excited to see both those programs this year too. And we're also excited to see Mike Bailey as he's taking.
We're gonna get him on the show pretty soon. We're gonna try to nail him down. The new head coach at the Canfield Boys program.
Yeah, and I mean it's a great opportunity for Coach Bailey too. And like we said, these coaches, I mean, it's not like what we saw too back in the day, and it's not even like 10 years ago. Coaches, players, they move around a lot more too. It's got a new world we have to get used to with high school sports. We see the players move around, but so do the coaches too. And it's a great thing too, because sometimes the new opportunity they really can thrive in.
Yeah, we have still a slew of first-year coaches that we're going to be able to talk to down the line this year. The first-year volleyball coaches, first-year soccer coaches. Maybe it's not their first year as a coach, but first year with the school. There are some first-year head coaches too. I think Tony Shaheen is taking over the Mooney volleyball program, and I believe it's going to be her first head coaching gig.
And I love to see it. I love to see new minds and their approach to the game and to coaching these athletes too, because sometimes it works into the benefit of the athletes and it's easier for them to connect. So I'm interested to see what some of these first year coaches are able to do.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. Like I said, Angela Jones coming on the show today at 12:15, so that's pretty soon. And then we will also have Tim Cooper coming on from West Branch Football on at 1 o'clock, I believe, right? 1 o'clock?
Yeah, 1 o'clock is what I have him down for, too. And that's going to be an exciting interview, of course. You got Drew DeShields that's going to be manning under center. It's going to be a great season either way, too, when you got that position check mark. But not only to mention, too, that West Branch is just a great program through and through, year in and year out. They're one of the most talked about teams, I think, in this preseason, and I'm excited to talk to first-year head coach now over there at West Branch and Coach
We'll have some cool nuggets to talk about with West Branch football as we gear up for that interview a little bit later in the show. But basically, as a little taste test, if you look at one, it's an interesting little situation they got going on there because the head coach is still in the program. He just kind of took the step down and gave one of his really good assistants a step up into the head coaching role. So, he's still there. Coach Harris is still there. And then, you look at the youth of West Branch, their JV team, their middle school team, all very successful last year. So you got to think the future is bright in West Branch and even the immediate future, as in the new faces that are joining that roster now.
And it's a tough conference to try to compete in, no doubt. And West Branch has been one of the tops in that EBC conference for quite some time. We know Salem's going to be great year to year. You can never count them out. But I mean, you just look at those other teams too. They're quality football teams usually. That man over there in that EBC. Anytime you play those teams that are housed in like your Canton areas too, such as Canton South, it becomes a tough fight.
Excuse me. As we get ready for Springfield volleyball in about 5 minutes, let's look at their schedule real quick and bring up the Tigers schedule. They have a slew of seniors on their team now. They're going to be an experienced bunch leading into this schedule. They open the season. Dang. Excuse me. It's a rough go. They open the season on the 22nd at 7 against Brookfield, who's a team they played to end the season last year. And they weren't exactly the healthiest bunch when they played last year at the end of the season. So I'm sure they're looking to put their best foot forward.
I'm excited to see this matchup too, because we know Brookfield usually a solid program too, but this is kind of like a great battle between MVAC tiers right off the gate too. Scarlet side represented by the Tigers and gray side represented by the Warriors, and it's a heck of a way to get yourself tuned up.
All right, so they go from Brookfield and they play Lowville, McDonald, Liberty, Sebring, Jackson, Milton, Waterloo, Western Reserve. Non-conference game with Ursuline, Mineral Ridge, Lowville, McDonald again, Sebring, Newton Falls, Jackson, Milton, Waterloo. A non-conference game with Mooney, a non-conference game with Poland. Western Reserve, they will then go to Mineral Ridge, Columbiana. They close out the season on October 12th at Struthers. I think it's home against Struthers, actually.
God, touring all these different conferences too, from what I'm hearing. I mean, I'm hearing a little Steel Valley. I'm hearing a little NE8 in there. I think I heard AAC too, if I'm not mistaken. Did you say Harding?
No.
Oh, I thought you said Harding.
No AAC. Newton. Their non-conference games are going to be. Oops, sorry, I just swiped right out of it. Their non-conference games are going to be. Let's see, Brookfield from the other side of the MVAC. Yeah. They have Liberty from the other side of the MVAC. They have Ursuline. They have Newton Falls from the other side of the MVAC. They'll have Mooney, Poland. They'll have Columbiana as a non-conference. And
EOAC. There's the EOAC. Okay, so it's EOAC, not the AAC. That's my fault. But no, the AAC too is a conference too that I've seen a lot of teams scheduling too. But they also featured a lot of great tier teams, and I mean mine as well, right? I mean, I know it's a different conference too, but you got a bunch of teams that are pretty close by too, driving distance wise, that are technically non-conference games.
Right. Look at these last 4 games, Ty. Western Reserve, Mineral Ridge are two of the mainstays in that MVAC Scarlet tier. Great programs, got to be the early season favorites in everyone's eyes. Columbiana, EOAC Elite, and then Struthers. That's a good way to close out the season, testing yourself with 2 big non-conference games and then your toughest 2 conference opponents back-to-back to close out the season.
Yeah, Struthers is kind of same boat, I think, as Springfield going into the season, where they had a lot of young players last year did Struthers, and they just got a lot more experience going into the season, returning pretty much all their stat leaders from a year ago. So it's going to be a great matchup, too, and I think it's going to be the perfect kind of tune-up for those teams, both looking to be similar in certain areas going into the season.
Ty, even if you go up to like their net last 6 games, before that Mineral Ridge game, before that Western Reserve game, they play Mooney and Poland. So their last 6 games are Mooney, Poland, Western Reserve, Mineral Ridge, Columbiana, Struthers.
And Mooney's a team that's not shy to upsets and not shy to big wins late in the season either.
Like I said, they're under a new head coach as well, Tony Shaheen, who is a young head coach. I believe taking her first head coaching gig at Cardinal Mooney.
And exciting times too, as Cardinals welcoming in a new culture and a new regime.
Someone who doesn't have to welcome in a new regime, of course, is Springfield. We've been talking about their schedule. Let's bring in their head coach and see what else the Tigers have in store for us this season. Coach Jones, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you both very much for having me, and thanks first and foremost to YSN. You guys do an amazing job, as always, covering sports around the area. Doesn't matter, league, doesn't matter, male, female, whatever. You guys do an excellent job. So thank you. All the coaches, I know we really appreciate it.
We appreciate that, Coach. And every time someone says it, I just say, hey, if the teams didn't put on a good show, we couldn't really go out and do anything. So once again, thank you for coaching. If you didn't put on a team, we wouldn't have much to cover. So
there you go.
Teamwork makes the dream work, Coach.
That's right.
Coach, we always kind of like to start off with the team, and Anthony and I have had plenty of discussions about it. It looks like you have a lot of seniority coming onto this team this year, so it must be exciting times in Springfield country. Why don't you highlight those players you got for this season?
Yeah, so I have 6 seniors coming back, and we're really excited. I mean, when you say seniority, I do have seniority. I also have height. And in joking around today at practice, I said, I never thought I'd say this. I have so many hitters, so that's a good feeling to have. But we have Maddie Lesnat coming back as middle, JC Mullen, she's an outside, Gianna Picuto, a setter, Sammy McKim, our libero, and Emily Gerthung and Lindsay Romeo, both as outside hitters. We are going to run a 6-2, so that's a nice little change for us to have the height and be able to do that. So we're excited about that. Really excited.
When I hear 6'2", I get excited because that means that you are going to have a slew of hitters. You're always going to have 3 hitters in the front row, which when you have the height that you do has got to be exciting. So who's going to be that second center?
So moving in, we have freshman Baylen Brungard, and she loves the game. She brings an energy to the game. It's contagious in our gym, and that's what we were looking for. So we're going to have her setting as well with Gianna. I come back, I have Jamaica Brungard as a sophomore, and boy, has she improved from last season. Put in some time, J.O., but coming off that basketball season, kudos to Coach Matisse and our girls for the season they had. So that was huge for them. And these girls, a lot of these girls are basketball players, and they're hungry to keep that sort of win and drive going.
And I mean, in doing so, we know every team year to year is a little bit of a different look. No 2 teams are exactly the same. So in saying that, you're able to run a 6-2, but what would you say this team's identity is early on going into this season?
Really, I think, honestly, I'm not going to lie, we're still trying to find it. We have had some camps and some stuff over the summer, but we haven't had everybody all together with vacations, with, different commitments throughout the summer. It's been a challenge to have all of the girls that I feel would be playing varsity together. So truly not until this first week, last week of practice, were we all together. So we're trying to find our own, still trying to find the exact rotation that's going to put the best people in the best spots. But yeah, I mean, when we step on the floor, I think our height's going to be a presence. We just got to make sure we deliver with it.
We've talked about it on the show before this year. We've talked about it on the show with you last year. The Springfield volleyball program is tradition-based. They have a lot of winning success in their history. You go back even 7 years ago, they were getting district championships like it was their job. Is that in the back of everyone's mind of trying to get that Springfield program back to where it has been?
It's certainly in the forefront of my mind. The last 2 seasons have been a challenge. Needless to say, our record certainly, I don't think always was reflective of how we could play. Again, I'm going to reflect back. So I think the girls got a taste of that in basketball and that winning and that drive. And I think it helps to push them. We have a lot of strong athletes. We have competitive athletes. So the challenge is to get that all together as a mix and put it out on the floor.
Obviously, conference wins are going to be what makes and breaks successful seasons from each other. Talking about your conference, too, it's no doubt one of the toughest that you have to compete in. Looking at this conference this year, too, who are you going to be looking at this year to compete with, too? And what are your I guess, expectations for competing in the conference this season?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Our league is tough. The MVAC, they're bringing it every year. You have teams coming and everyone's gunning for each other. It doesn't matter that McDonald just recently started their program several years back. They are a force to reckon with. Ridge, Reserve, they got a new coach, Chrissy Hughes, doing a great job. I know her from a long time back. Her girls have played. Her one daughter's coaching, at Poland. So, Western Reserve, Mineral Ridge, Jackson Milton, they're all coming. So we just got to be ready. And it's going to be very competitive, I think, every game. I think hopefully it'll be a battle all the way to the end, and I certainly want to see us up there at the top this year of the league.
And then we look at your non-conference schedule. It's no slouch either, especially what we were highlighting before you came on was these last 4 games for you on the schedule. I mean, it's got to make a coach kind of very excited to have 4 games in a row to end it, to prepare you for tournaments. I mean, I'm looking at the last 4. You got Western Reserve, Middle Ridge, Columbia, and Struthers. Those are a really good end stretch, and even the last 6, Mooney, Poland before that Western Reserve game. Talk about some of these non-conference games that you have, and what kind of drove you to want these teams on your schedule, and how much do you think it's going to prepare you for postseason?
Yeah, that's important at the end of the season to keep that, that drive going and get the girls still hungry for wins. By then, our last week, especially, conference is going to be determined. But, then the real test of the season with tournaments is coming up. So having Columbiana, Jen does a great job every year down there. They're always great competition for us. And we saw them a little bit this summer at a camp. So, it's nice to have that going right into tournaments to get the girls hungry and ready and not sort of, slouch off. But like I said, you said a few of those games there right towards the end. We're still going to be battling for league at the end. Just got to keep our competitiveness up high, making sure that our effort matches our expectations. I think that's kind of what caught us up the last maybe, year or so. We have this drive or desire, but we're not quite sure how we're going to get there as a team. And we definitely know that our effort has to match our expectations, and we're ready.
In saying that too, I mean, there's so much success in the Springfield program amongst both boys and girls sports too. So, and the girls not having, I guess, quote unquote, a winning season, but I wouldn't say non-successful, but quote unquote, not a winning season. How does girls in Tiger Country take that? Because it doesn't seem like it happens too often. You talked about the work that they put into the off season too, but just highlight that, how they took that too, and what were the kind of discussions that before coming into this season to turn that around?
Yeah, so we don't have a whole lot of girls that play JO just yet. A lot of them are competitive 3-sport athletes. So they're coming off a basketball season, they're going straight into softball season or track. And, Callie Mady, she's a sophomore. She was deep into track. She was down there at state, running in a relay. So, she missed some of our camps and things for that, but just trying to talk to get the girls in the mindset. If we really have our effort that matches our expectations, everybody loves to win. And, people say winning isn't everything. And I say, then why do we keep score? I mean, it kind of is. It is. Everything's all about winning. And as a coach, you got to put the girls that are out there going to do the best job on the floor to get that done. So there's certainly, obvious the success that Coach Matisse had in basketball is like I said, carrying over. You got some girls that have played JO and they've had very successful club seasons, so they want to continue that. Jamaica Brungard, her improvement, I said it once already, but she's really going to be a presence on the floor. And she's very eager. She was, talking to me all off season. Coach, I think we need to do this. Coach, I think if we do this. And so it's just exciting that they're talking about it. They're great teammates. They get along very well. That, the 9 that I have playing for varsity, and I'll probably have a 12-girl, staff dressing varsity, but just to see them working well together on the floor is exciting.
You were exactly 2 weeks from the first game. It starts, Monday the 22nd in Brookfield. When you look at some of the goals you have for these next 2 weeks and the next 2 weeks in practice and in scrimmages, where do you want the girls to be when they start that game and they start the season on the 22nd?
I want to see, just that real competitive, intense level. Nothing is a given. I want to say the past is a past. What that was is gone, and we have to look forward. We're really focusing on progressions this year. If we do have a loss, we need to learn from that loss. And if we do and we improve, then it's a win. If we take it as a loss and we, swallow it up and just let it consume us and make the same mistakes, then it's going to be twice the battle. So, just getting these girls ready to understand that as long as we're making progressions, we're not sure if that game with Brookfield's happening. I heard they have a conflict. My athletic director reached out to us and said there might be a conflict. So we might be starting Tuesday, but either way, we need to be ready to go and stay intense with a good competitive level.
You talk about all the advice that you give these athletes to help shape them in athletically and in their life as well. But I'm always curious in what that or when that happened for the coaches as well. So in saying that, what was a bit of advice, I guess, that helped shape you as a coach that you kind of still use to today?
Really just to always work hard. Nothing is a given. I'm a very competitive person by nature. I love to win. I hate to lose. Just really hustling. I've coached many years. I'm been a teacher, and every year that I've been a teacher, I've been coaching something. So I always want to say to the girls, truthfully, my effort. If I'm going to go all out and do something as a player, I should be rewarded. And I try to tell them that if they work really hard, whether you play JO in the off season, whether you play basketball, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing, just always put in 100%, because in life, you're going to find out, you're going to get out what you put in. And so that's kind of something in my own mindset, my family life, my personal life, just my job, my everything. What you get out, what you put in, you get out. So keep working hard.
Obviously, you're super invested in volleyball, but I'm interested if there was any other sport that you had the opportunity to coach. What sport would you want to kind of throw your hat into the ring in?
Did Coach Matisse put you up to this question or
Maybe.
what?
Maybe.
Basketball is my first love. I'm not going to deny it. I tell the girls that. It was my first love. I played in college, and I refer back to a lot of things actually in practice as basketball. If this, building a team around a point guard, you have to do this. And so we can't pass. It's like a basketball player who can't dribble. So I'd probably say basketball, but I do like my vacations in the winter down south. So I tell John he's got to hold off a little longer to see me come back and coach basketball.
You played basketball, you like you just said is your first love. How did you fall into coaching volleyball, and what gave you the passion for this sport and pouring so much energy into volleyball?
I coached junior high first at Springfield when I came back teaching. And I know the legacy that Coach Knight had. I played for him. We were a point away from making it to regional my senior year, but it just was something that Coach Knight built, and I had the opportunity to coach at the junior high level for him, and I did. And at that level, it's really fun because you see a lot of growth in the girls. They come in not having any experience other than gym class, and you really get a chance to teach them the fundamentals. So that's exciting. At the time when I came to, we really didn't have girls soccer. So we had a lot of athletes, and we had a lot of opportunity to teach girls and have them grow. And then the opportunity came to come up with Bill at the JV level, and I took it, and the rest, I guess, as they say, is history.
Well, Coach, we know we don't want to take too much of your time, and we know that the players, the head coach, they always get all kinds of spotlight, all kinds of interviews, but we also love to give the opportunity for you to shout out your coaching staffs and some other big names that help out in that Springfield volleyball program that you couldn't do it without.
Yes, I could not do it without my counterpart, my varsity assistant, JV coach, Carrie Brungard. Her and I were teammates back in Springfield, together. So we have a lot of competitiveness about us both. She hates to lose as well. You would never guess that from any of her kids, right? So she's a great asset to have. We also personally work very well together, so that's a given. At the junior high level, I have Ashley Avnet. She was a player for Bill, and actually her uncle, Mike Dunn, he was a former coach also with Bill at the JV level. So they're bringing up the the junior high girls with just a lot of technical skills. They know all about Springfield volleyball, the expectations, and we work with them and let them know really what we want the girls to have coming into high school, and they do a great job of making sure the girls get it. And then we have, Bob Beam, he's our new athletic director, and he's working hard to help us out and just get everything on the road and get the show going.
You had that Tiger community behind you. I know they love their volleyball. I've been to Springfield games as a fan and as a broadcaster. What's it going to be like to kind of get back into this atmosphere of volleyball in Springfield and get the community back into it and get the excitement back into the program?
I think we do have a great support. Tiger Nation brings it like no other, and it doesn't matter the sport. Obviously we've had a great run the last several years with football. That's obviously helped, but Tiger Nation always shows up. We get great support. The boys will come in after football practice and they come watch us. We have great parent support of all the girls from, JV level up to the top. So our junior high team likes to come and watch. So we're excited to get it going, and the gym will be hot. We're one of those few. We're not air conditioned. So it'll be a hot one, but hopefully we get the stands packed and get some voices there for us.
Trust me, Coach, you're not alone. You're not alone. It seems like some of the best programs have gyms with no air conditioning. Maybe it builds character. I don't know.
It does. I'm telling you, we have playing those 5 sets. We already know what it's like to play tired and hot in 3. So, we really, I think, have an edge there when teams come in and they're like, oh my gosh, but it's second nature to us anymore.
How nice is it to stroll into an AC gym though? Does it feel cooler than it actually is? Or are you feeling like you need like 2 hoodies on when you go into an AC gym?
Absolutely. And I think Jackson Milton's the worst. By second set, I'm like wiping my nose. It's, it's cold. I always bring the long sleeves and the pants because we know it's going to be cold. So the girls love it, but Coach Brungard and I, we're a little chilly, but it is nice. Hopefully Springfield will get it going here in the next year or two. So we'll see.
Coach, we look forward to it. We look forward to continuing our coverage of Springfield volleyball and seeing you out there. Thank you so much for your time and giving us a preview of the team. And we look forward to also having you again on the show again soon.
Thanks. Thanks again, guys, and YSN and the YSU Nation, or YSN Nation, sorry. We appreciate you.
Angela Jones, the head coach of Springfield volleyball, joining us live on the show on Running Point. And there's no reason to think that Springfield team isn't going to be someone to contend this year with the seniors they have. Like she said, she's going to switch their offense around a little bit. They have a lot of hitters to contend with. They'll run at 6'2", and if they can get that rolling and they can pass well to those centers, they'll be fine.
I mean, height, you can't teach height. It's one of those sports. And I mean, Angela Jones knows that phrase well with basketball already. But I mean, same kind of holds true in volleyball, right?
It's very much true in volleyball. Like I've told a lot of players, like, man, if you were just, 4 or 5 inches taller, you'd be a Division I setter. You'd be it just can't, all the other stuff is there, but you just can't teach height. Like you can't replace a 6'1" setter or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and I mean it's tough too, but Springfield has that unique advantage running into this season. And like Coach Jones said, though, I mean McDonald going into I think year 4 of their program now.
Yeah, 4th year of the program.
And every single year since they've gotten better with wins. Western Reserve, Mineral Ridge. Jackson Milton's always been competitive, it seems like. And then Springfield, like I said, I think I said it back on Friday's show, and I think a 5-win team for the Springfield Tigers going into this season from last year is probably one of the most dangerous teams in that conference too, because that's under their expectations. It's not up to par with what Springfield and that community expects, and it's not what those girls expect either. I mean, those are some athletes, 3-sport athletes. Those are competitors. Flat out, they want to get out there, they want to win, and they want to showcase why that community is one of the best athletically around. And they felt like they didn't get the job quite done. Yeah, injuries kind of plagued them, but there's never any excuses in that community. They're looking to make a statement for sure, I think, this season.
When I think of the player that's going to be the biggest key to success to that lineup, and everyone's going to look at the hitters, and obviously they have really good hitters, but it's going to start with the libero and Sammy Kim, senior libero. Everything starts with how well you can pass the ball. If you can't pass, then no matter how good your setter is, she's going to be running around the court trying to set, and you're going to be out of system, and you're not going to be able to set up your offense. So you got to be able to pass first, and having a senior back there leading the back row is going to be of the utmost importance for Springfield. So that's going to be the key. You're going to have to watch her a lot and see how much of a great season that senior libero has, and how much they can get the ball to their center.
6'2" offenses are always kind of fun to watch too when you're able to run them, and if they can run efficiently, they can really be an offensive juggernaut at times as well. And that's what I'm excited to see, honestly, with Springfield, is just them being able to utilize that, having the height to utilize that, and especially being in the lower divisions too. I feel like there's going to be some teams that are going to be expecting one thing from Springfield this season, and they're going to get something completely different than what they're expecting.
I have a sneaky suspicion that they're going to sneak up on people. We're going to take our first break on Running Point. When we come back, we are going to start to gear up for our interview with Tim Cooper, the head coach of West Branch football. He's got an exciting season on his hands and an exciting program, an exciting group of players as well. We're going to talk about West Branch football and more when we come back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online, Wednesday afternoon weather update,
very dangerous,
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards? Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring PGA professionals, golf instruction, a players' rewards club, kids programs, and a pro shop and grill room for a memorable golf experience. Call or click to schedule your tee time at Mill Creek Golf Course.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers.
From sales to financing and even service,
We'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Now is the time to think about your future, where you want to go, what you want to be. Your future can start now at Kent State Salem or Kent State East Liverpool. We have programs that will open doors and provide opportunities for you to pursue your passion. We are affordable. We are close. You call it hometown. We call it Kent State University. Learn more at www.kent.edu/Columbiana. You belong here.
Welcome back to Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell. Ty, we are getting ready for West Branch football, and their head coach Tim Cooper coming on at 1 o'clock. And this is a very interesting situation in West Branch because Tim Cooper taking over for his first year at the helm, but Coach Harris still on staff. He has moved to a coordinator role, and he'll still be there as a voice of this program. But you look at this West Branch program as a whole, and man, it's a good spot to fall into for Coach Cooper. You look at it, their 8th grade team went undefeated. They're ABC champions. Their freshman team went undefeated. Their JV team went undefeated against the Lions. So 8th grade, freshman, and JV teams all last year all went undefeated in their seasons. So you think the future and the players that they got coming up in that program are going to be, strong?
I was gonna say, I mean, you're gonna get an influx of youth from all those teams this coming season. And that's just going to be nothing but helpful for West Branch. And it just shows why the program stays successful and stays relevant year after year. And I mean, it all goes back to those youth programs, man, and just building and developing players to fill those holes in the varsity level once they're created.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. The JV undefeated, also EBC champs, 8th grade undefeated EBC champs, freshmen undefeated EBC champs. So they have been having a stranglehold, not just on their schedule, but on the EBC at every level. And they're going to bring, the 8th graders are now freshmen. I'm guessing a lot of those freshman players are now going to be JV. And now you're going to see a lot of those JV players kind of move up to varsity to fill some spots. It's
going to be their opportunity to make a name for themselves, though. Honestly, like these younger players that we haven't really been able to say the name of. I mean, those holes are created for a reason, too. Someone needs to step up and fill them.
Look at these are the scores we could get from the freshman team from West Branch. They beat Notre Dame Cathedral Latin 28-7. They beat Louisville's freshman team 16-14. They beat Poland's freshman team 36-0. and they beat Division I Stowe 34-21 as a freshman team, and they beat Carrollton 36-24. So those are some of the scores from just the freshmen.
That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive indeed that these teams are able to do that and pull off those kind of wins, because those are all pretty good football programs too at the end of the day as well.
I mean, when it's insane. That's why I said it's such a good position to fall into for Coach Cooper, because not only is he going to be having his mentor and the old head coach still in the building and still have a voice in the program, he's got like everything in the toy chest that's ready for him.
He absolutely does, and I mean he's been dubbed a mastermind too by a lot in that community for his play calling and just his mind for the game too. So having that many chess pieces for a chess master, it's a scary time.
So now you have a mastermind with a sparkly new toy chest.
Yeah, it's you're giving him everything he needs, right?
Everything he needs. And when you look at it, the West Branch last year, they had another quality season, but they bring back Drew DeShields from last year as a senior quarterback. He is committed to Eastern Illinois, by the way, so he has officially stamped his name on a college resume.
We're excited for that too, as we always love hearing them being able to commit before a season too. Gives them a chance now, and it also gives us the opportunity to see them completely locked in and focused on the season, not having to worry about committing elsewhere where they're going to be going to college after this season.
I'm sure this is something we can ask Coach Cooper, but not something that you get too often. I wonder how the transition was from Coach Harris being the voice of the room to all of a sudden being a voice in the room. Now Tim Cooper is the voice in the room, if that makes sense. Like, how has that transition gone? How have the players handled that transition to kind of now looking at Cooper as the head coach compared to Harris and trying to flip those roles, but still kind of learning from both of them? And it's going to be interesting to see what his answer to that is.
I think you're going to see a lot of trust with it, because it's going to start and end with Drew DeShields, and with both Penny and Walt being closely related with all the coaches at West Branch anyway, that there's going to be a trust factor built there. And also, I mean, both Drew's parents too are going to be understanding of a new coach taking over, and it wasn't with like a dicey situation, right. And that's the biggest thing with West Branch.
I think that's a key to it. Like, Coach Harris is such a stand-up guy that he's not going to let ego get in the way of him. He's not going to try to force himself to be a voice in the room or the voice in the room and try to step on. Like, he's not going to be that guy. I think he made the low ego move to not be the head coach this year and give the mastermind, as we're hearing him be called, the chance to take the reins. I think that was kind of proof that the last thing Coach Harris cares about is his ego. So he's not going to get in the way. He's only going to be a resource. And I think that's going to be a big key, because a lot of times in this situation, especially in the higher level of football, like if you're talking, like high class elite Division I football in high school, or you're talking college football, if a coach backs away but also takes an assistant role, I feel like that would still grind some friction there, because he would have a hard time letting go of the reins, because the bigger stage you get, the bigger that ego gets, right? So I feel like it would make that coach kind of hard to loosen the reins. But Coach Harris has already proven time and time again that he is going to do what's best for the kids. So I don't think there's going to be any friction in that coaching room at all.
That's the thing. Once you get to the bigger levels, money is also involved. So you're playing for a job. You're playing for
that's what I was about to say. Job security becomes like of the utmost importance, because even at like elite Division I high schools, it's winning, right? You win or you get the heck out of our program, because we have a winning tradition.
And not to say money's not involved in high school, but it's not about the money. It's more about just developing the kids and developing the program. And obviously Coach Harris saw that Cooper was going to be the guy that's going to be best for the program right now, best for the kids right now. And he figured, who am I to stand in the way of that too? And furthering the development of these kids and the program of West Branch. Why would I stand in the way of that? And that's how West Branch is, man. I mean, it's not about the ego, and that's why that program is so successful in every sport.
You look at all their coaches. I don't think any of them, like even the super successful ones, none of them are about the ego. Like, that's impressive. I think it's because of the community that West Branch sits in. They always feel like the underdog a little bit. So, but then the super successful coaches in West Branch never have an ounce of ego in them.
No, they don't. And I mean, that's the biggest thing is they do it because they love the community. A lot of them West Branch alumni too.
Yeah.
So they love the community and they love what they do too for those kids in that community.
And boy, does that debunk the whole theory that you have to have an ego to be successful in sports. Like a lot of people say, like, yo, man, you got to have a little bit of an ego. You got to have a little bit of that ego to be successful. No, you don't. And these coaches are proving it. You have to have confidence, but there is a difference between confidence in yourself and ego. And I think a lot of people kind of break right through that line in sports and think he's got to be super cocky or egotistical to be what he is. But in reality, like that person or whatever, that athlete you're talking about, whoever it may be, doesn't have to have a huge ego to be successful. Like that's not an ingredient.
In team sports, there's a lot of moving parts that go into getting one victory, let alone having successful seasons too. I mean, it's asinine to think that just a coach is responsible for all the success of a season. It's asinine to think that a coach isn't responsible for any success of a season, especially in the high school world. So, I mean, it's counterbalance. The players have to do the job, but they have to buy into what the coach is also saying and feeding them to. And the coach has to be able to have a good enough mindset to develop these players, but also make sure that they're having a enjoyable time, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is these kids having fun with what they're doing in their high school activities.
I saw a post yesterday from social media, and it said, don't let the limelight and the scholarships and all the stuff that you are striving for as a high school athlete let you forget the goal of high school athletics is to make you a better person and let you enjoy the high school experience. That is the goal. It's not, I mean, you can have other goals, but the goal of high school athletics is that, period.
It's a kid's game that some of us should get the opportunity to play a little bit longer. And I mean, that's point blank the facts at the end of the day.
Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with having the other goals and striving to try to get that scholarship and putting that in your rear view mirror and putting that not in your rear view mirror, but putting that in your headlights and everything. But if you lose focus of what the goal of high school athletics is, that's where you can get into some dark places.
There's also plenty of athletes that are playing high school right now, phenomenal athletes that don't want a future in athletics either. They don't want to play in the college world. They want to keep it in the high school realm. Not that they're not talented to play at the next level, because they are. There's plenty of athletes.
What you learn as you go through life, there are a lot of things you're good at doing. It doesn't mean that you are passionate about following that as your career.
Absolutely.
I am good at history, right? I am a good history buff. I know a lot of history. I love history. I love studying about it. I don't want to be a history teacher. I don't want to be a historian. I don't want to be an anthropologist. Wasn't my passion, but I'm good at it.
You don't want to be the guy in the museum talking about everything.
I'm good at it. Wasn't my passion. So, you can be good at stuff and you can be really good at stuff and not have the want, the drive to want to further it into a career or if you're a college athlete, you have a 1% chance of making it a career, but forwarding it into the next level of whatever you may be. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to have that, have other aspirations and other goals.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Dream big and shoot for the stars for sure. But just also make sure there's a little bit of a fallback too. Have other goals, have other dreams too. Cause like you said, and only 1% of athletes make it. Not to say that you can't, because someone has to make it, right? But you also got to make sure you have something to fall back on.
Yeah, and follow the things that you think that you are the most passionate about. You can, hang your hat on at the end of the day and say, I made, the decision that was for my heart and happiness, not because I'm really good at it. Like, you can be really good at football and go but then you can, your second year of college football, sit there and be like, I'm just not like, I'm good at it, but I'm just not feeling it. Like, how many high school and college athletes have been really good, but you can just tell they're not happy where they're at, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you got to obviously follow what you're passionate about.
From the outside, you're sitting here thinking, like, you are so good at this sport. Why aren't you happy? Well, we've seen a lot with the mental health issues in college sports the last 6 months. Like, being really elite and being really good doesn't mean that you're following your passion.
Not necessarily too. You got to make sure that you're in the right headspace too. But also, I mean, with these kids too that get these scholarships, I mean, I know you get the scholarships athletically to go play the sport there, but you have an athletic scholarship to go to school for free in some cases, absolutely free. And I mean, just talking about that as an opportunity, you have an opportunity to get a multitude of degrees too, an option of degrees of what you want to go for and what you want to study too. Take advantage of that too. And that's where you can kind of find something else you're passionate about too, kind of dual wield it, make the best of both worlds. Cause I mean, that's what college is ultimately there for, is for your education first and foremost. And I think that's a golden ticket that some athletes don't realize that they have.
I think every time someone says that, someone's like, well, education, yeah. It's become a cliche to say college is about education, but that's like literally the whole point of it.
It literally is the point of it. And I mean, how many people would kill to have that kind of golden ticket to go to college for free? And I mean, you have the opportunity to just go in and pursue a degree for absolutely free. And I mean, I think you make a solid point though. And I mean, got to find what you're passionate about. And for some of these athletes that go into college, you might fall out of love with the sport, but it's still an opportunity to fall in love with something else.
I mean, the hard thing is, especially when you're growing, is, like it's deciphering what you're good at to what you're really passionate about, because you can kind of get the high of winning and you're good at basketball and you're getting these game winning shots and it can feel like a passion, but then like, are you excited about practice? Are you excited about those, extra workouts, getting shots and going into the gym every day? Because then if you're not getting excited about that kind of stuff, then are you really passionate about the sport, or are you just good at it? And I think that's where you start to decipher, where you want to kind of go in the future. Because if you go into college sports and you do not like the workouts, you're done. Like you're done. It becomes a job almost, especially if you're in, a higher class college. If you're in an elite college program, it kind of seconds as a job. They are counting on you to do your job at that college, and they give you that scholarship, but there's an expectation to it, right? So,
well, yeah, that's the thing. And I think that's where it's like culture shock for a lot of high school athletes and in college. It's that. And then like classes especially are more of, here's the homework. You need to do these assignments. It's not, okay, come to class. We're doing an assignment in class. It's here. We're going to talk about stuff in class. Go do this assignment over the weekend. Like, and you got to do a lot of time management too. And a lot of high school athletes aren't really prepared for it when they get to it. And it's a culture shock at first. And then they realize they might initially fall behind in classes because it's like, oh, I got to plan time for classes. I got to plan time to go to practice. It's all on me now. It's not, it's not kind of scheduled and blocked out for me now.
Me and EB had this kind of conversation, when he was on the show last Tuesday. And one of the things I said was, one of the things I struggle with when I started college was there was no one forcing me to do the stuff. There's not. The professors don't care. If you don't do it, you don't do it. It's whatever.
They're getting paid at the end of the day.
There's no one chasing you down to do your assignments. If you don't show up for class, it's just a mark for attendance, and they don't really care. There's no one. So it was really easy to be like it's a mental day, and this, but what you got to work through is having that responsibility, having that independence, and that's one of, like you said, culture shock in college.
Yeah, and I mean, you gotta be able to know how much you could procrastinate and know. No, in high school, your procrastination limit is way lower
high school,
in college.
I coasted through high school, and it was such it took me like 2 months to readjust myself for college, and I had to say no to a couple things I wanted to do to make sure I was focused on college, because I didn't want a 2.6 GPA out of YSU. And when you're looking back, you're proud of yourself that I was able to make a 3.5 GPA, so I raised my GPA a whole point from high school to college. But you gotta make some sacrifices for that, and you gotta take some of your own responsibility.
It basically comes down to social life or sleep. Which one of those are you sacrificing in college? Are you going to sacrifice the social life a little bit, or are you going to sacrifice some sleep?
It's in my bio at YSN. I was a coach. I coached 8th grade girls basketball, and then college on campus. It's a lot easier to navigate your time when you're doing online classes. So for the first semester at high school, I was doing online, classes. That was easy to coach doing online. But then I was like, oh man, here comes campus classes. I had to kind of just say, close the door on coaching for a bit and say it's not going anywhere and I got to focus on college.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you someone that's not closing the door.
How this conversation started with it started about West Branch football. It got off to a philosophy.
I was going to say, it's not the door's not closing on coaching for Coach Cooper. It's actually opening, and it's opening wide open for Coach Cooper coming into the season.
Coach, thank you for coming on. We are pleased by your presence.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate it.
I mean, Coach, first and foremost, let's just talk about your excitement of taking over this West Branch regime. I mean, we already know all the headlines about Drew DeShields. We already know what kind of a beast he is, but highlight the team, what you're excited about coming back, but highlight also your own excitement for taking over this West Branch program.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, I think we have a great community and we have great families out here. And then we're led by a great group of seniors. We have 5 out of 7 guys that were in the rotation offensive line wise back. And then we've got some senior skill guys that we're thinking are going to take that next leap, like Christian Mardick and Mike Kanegi specifically. And then, I think I have a great staff. Being able to keep Coach Harris on board and kind of be a mentor to me was really important. And then we kept majority of our staff intact from last year and kind of added some pieces just in some different guys that I think are meshing well with our kids. So it's been a what's the word I want to use? It's been a process, getting adjusted in this role, but we are in a great situation right now, early August,
When you look at this situation, you take over for Coach Harris, but Coach Harris still in the building with you, still on staff and everything, still pouring into this program. It's very unique. It's not usually a coach steps away and it's a new coach and it's his kind of philosophy. How has that transition been? How is it like having him in the room still? And how much of the philosophy and the culture of the program was able to stay intact because of that?
I would say majority of it is still intact. I put a couple twists on it just from my perspective. And but Coach Harris has been selfless from the start of when he took the job a couple years ago. He's really given me a lot of opportunity to grow as a coach. And he's given me more opportunities every single year, more responsibility. And I kind of want to take that and keep that with my coaching staff. I want guys that want to be head coaches and want to be coordinators, and I want to give that.
Oh, did we lose Coach Harris?
Yeah, and looks like Glitch Gremlins might be attacking Coach Cooper.
For a minute, I thought I was frozen because you weren't saying anything either, and I was like, uh-oh.
I think I was frozen for a second, but then I came back and it looked like Coach Cooper froze up too. We're gonna have to see if we can get him back real quick. But no, yeah, just in the midst, we're gonna be talking a little bit more about this coaching transition from Coach Harris to Coach Cooper. Yeah, but no, it's still exciting to talk about this West Branch program. Hopefully we can get him back on and we'll be able to battle through these Glitch Gremlins.
Well, what this move was, and then he kind of went into it, was Coach Harris betting on Coach Cooper, saying, I think you are the right fit for this job, and I'm going to put my stock into that bet. And I think that's exactly what it was. And that's why he stayed with the program. He still believes in West Branch football, but we said it before, it was a selfless move by Coach Harris, in our opinion, and he just kind of seconded that idea of pushing it forward and into the limelight, that it was Coach Harris giving him more and more responsibilities and then saying, I am betting on you. How awesome is that to have a boss that says, I am betting on you. I am putting you in the forefront, and I am putting everything that I have built this program in on your hands and trusting you to do it.
I mean, it's trust, but it's also just trying to put the best people in the best position. Like we said with West Branch Athletics, That's the name of the game, and that's why, like I've said, they've been able to stay relevant and successful for as long as they have.
Coach Harris out here moving chess pieces while everyone else is playing checkers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's no doubt they look to be an exciting team yet again this season. And I'm excited for every one of the matchups. I mean, obviously conference matchups wise, but I mean, you just look at what West Branch is primed to do. They're looking to make a big run. It looks like.
Let's see if we get him back on.
I think we might be able to get him back on. Coach Cooper, we got everything working out now, man?
Yeah, I'm on our guest Wi-Fi in our school, so I just put on my hotspot. Hopefully that fixes it. I apologize.
No.
You're all good. It happens to the best of us, Coach.
We've battled through our fair share of glitch gremlins before. We're just happy to get you back. No, I mean, we were talking a little bit about this schedule. I guess we'll go right into it. Obviously, tough conference always year to year, EBC. What's it going to take for this West Branch Warriors team from what you got coming back this year? What's it going to take for you guys to come out with that conference crown and have another successful season?
I think it's just a week by week thing for us. It's a day by day thing. We really want to strive on getting better each day. And we got to continue to grow. We got a lot of young players that are going to be playing, so they're going to have to grow up early with a really difficult task in Canfield. But then we have Woodridge is a talented team. You know, we were able to go see them and scout them a little bit last week. And then Revere's got a new coach. You know, I'm sure their culture is going to be improved. And Ridgewood is traditionally a powerhouse in Division 5. And then Howland took us to the wire last year. So, you know, our team goals, we want to get better each day and, you know, see where that kind of puts us at the end of the year. You know, we want to win against our rivals and win the EBC, but it's just a day by day thing for us because of our young guys. And, you know, we just we can't overlook a day of practice, can't overlook a day of film. It's just got to be day by day.
You know, you said the young kids are going to have to grow up quick, and we're looking at the youth of this program. We were impressed by it because we were looking at it before you came on. 8th grade was undefeated last year. Freshmen were undefeated last year. JV was undefeated last year. I mean, how ready are these young kids to come in and compete in this varsity program?
They've definitely had a lot of success, but we can't rest on last year's laurels and whatever happened in the past. So, you know, what we've tried to do is we've really tried to make it a competitive summer. And we've got a great group of older guys who are pushing those young guys and holding them accountable. We've got some really talented players that are sophomores and freshmen. But that maturity of playing on a Friday night, we want to make sure that we're taking it the right way. We're letting those guys grow into roles. We don't want to rush anyone into things and situations that they're not ready for. So we're going to rely on those older guys and then bring those younger guys along and really try and compete and continue to improve.
I mean, we're just a few days away, 10, I think, technically from opening kickoff too. And you said it, you got a heck of a task too with a great Canfield team. I think everyone's looking at this quarterback matchup too with Brock Lowry on the other side. Without giving away, obviously, too much of the book from the mastermind himself, Coach Cooper. What's some of the keys to a victory against a very tough Cardinal team that Week 1 game?
You know, I think Canfield, first they have a first-class coaching staff. Their program has been traditionally great. They're kind of the measuring stick in the county, you know what I mean, Mahoning County and Trumbull County and the Tri-County area. So it's going to be a big task for us. We're going to try and do what we do, man. We're going to spread the ball around. We're going to take advantage of what the defense does to us. We got to make sure that we're tackling because, they've got some tremendous athletes and they're up front. They're really strong, but we got to play mistake free to put us in the best situation to win. We're going to count on a great Warrior crowd and, see where we're at.
Ty said it, you had 10 days left, which means you really have a little over a week left in the lab, in the practice, in the scrimmages to kind of evaluate this team and try to put the best foot forward on Week 1. What are some team goals and coaching staff goals that you have for the next week that you want to see this team be at kickoff and next Thursday?
Just day by day. So, today we break our practices up with offensive or defensive meeting, depending on what goes first. Then we have our offensive practice or defensive practice for, not too long. We practice so fast that we don't want to keep our kids here all day. We want them to, still enjoy their summer and whatnot, but about 75-minute practices a piece. And it's just focused on that individual drill, that individual period, whatever it might be, to continue to improve. We've been working hard since June. We had a great off season with lifting and conditioning. We have all of our stuff in offensively and defensively. It's just getting sharper at the little things. You know what I mean? The fine details of understanding the game of football for us, especially offensively, and then, rising up and playing football on Friday night.
What do you think is the one fine detail you've seen the most growth in over the summer from this West Branch team?
I think that just like the understanding of our schemes and the understanding of our expectations has been great to see. And I think, our seniors and Drew specifically, I'm just thinking from like an offensive perspective, they've done a great job of getting these young guys ready to go. We're expecting a couple sophomores to contribute early on Friday nights. And, we got a lot, we got to replace Nick Wilson and Jackson Hendershot and all those guys. But I think our receiving core might be deeper this year than it was last year. And I think a lot of that credit should go to Drew. So just the timing of what we do and our expectations every time that we step on the field has been great over the course of the summer.
I mean, we've obviously seen Drew play too, and he's a tremendous talent, obviously already committed to go to the next level. But from your eyes as a coaching perspective too, what makes Drew such a difference maker for this team and makes him one of the most highly touted quarterbacks in the area?
He just does things you can't coach. No matter what the play is, he's going to make you right as a play caller. He extends plays with his legs. He puts the defense in tough situations by keeping his eyes downfield. He goes through his progressions and he makes his reads properly. He's a great runner and a great athlete, and then he'll go play defense as well. So I think, just as a competitor, he's second to none. I could not speak highly enough of Drew Shields. I mean, I love the kid and I would do anything for him.
Coach, I'm sure you'd second this. What I notice about him getting to watch the film from our cameras every week in the studio, such a cerebral quarterback. It goes way past the athleticism. He knows what he's doing. He makes the right reads, like you said. I mean, there are a lot of athletic quarterbacks, but he's the football IQ off the charts too.
Without a doubt. And he's studying the game in the off season. And he's always trying to learn more. And I think, that's something he's really made a big step up in our over the course of the off season. We had him call some 7-on-7s. He's just calling it at the line, or he's helping the young guys out and calling them because, that's the type of trust I have in him. He's been in our system for 3 years. He knows what we're looking for and when to do what we do. So I don't want to give too much away.
Right.
We talked about it too, and you mentioned that there's not going to be a culture shift at all with this. It's relatively staying the same. But what is that West Branch identity for those who don't know? And if you're going to come into this warrior program to be a warrior, what do you expect from that program?
We're going to talk specifically. Everything we do is all team based. I don't think Drew DeShields would be where he was if it wasn't for our alignment and if it wasn't for the success of the team. So at the end of the day, everything's going to go through the team, and we can't succeed with just one. So that's number one. Number two, it's a day-by-day process. We want to spread the ball out and have fun and do all that stuff, but it's doing the little things each day to get to the part of Friday night football. So culture-wise, team before me, and we're going to find a way. FAW is our big saying, find a way. We don't want to find excuses. We don't want to do that. We want to find a way to have success. So day by day.
One of the things I want to ask before we let you go, obviously you've been in this program a while, but this is your first year as the head honcho. Has there been anything yet about head coaching that maybe is different than you expected or caught you for surprise?
Head coaching, you're essentially the figurehead of the program. So the biggest thing with it is there's a lot of things outside of football that you have to do and you have to entertain, and you know what I mean? Because we want to have a great light in our community. We want to be impactful, and so we have to be involved in those different things that isn't just about football. So as the offensive coordinator, I didn't have to deal with that stuff. That was all Coach Harris, kind of behind the scenes stuff, and that was an adjustment for me. But I think leaning on those guys, leaning on our athletic director, I think that I think I've taken that role on, and I've continued to grow. I'm still learning. There's a lot to learn. I'm not going to be perfect year one. I'm not going to be perfect year two. But how can I continue to grow and put our young men in the best positions possible for our program?
How much does it mean to you that the trust was put into you by not only the coaching staff, but also the community to make that seamless transition?
It means a lot. I mean, I love West Branch. This is where I want to be. I've been here the last 5-6 years, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be. I think we have a tremendous program. I think we have a tremendous community. There's nothing like Friday Night Lights. I mean, out in Beloit, man, we always talk about it as kids, as a team. Our guys are always saying, man, where else would you rather be? Beloit, Ohio. That's where we want to be. So, I'm tremendously grateful for this opportunity, and I just want to make sure that our guys are in the best position and that our program's headed in the right direction, and that we continue to build on the great tradition that we have here. So, as always, go Warriors.
You were a part of that West Branch team too last year as well, Coach. I just need to know before we let you go, West Branch Salem, does that need to start being dubbed the game? Is that the game for the high school scene?
Hey, that was probably one of the best games I've ever been a part of, both sides. You know what I mean? Just what an atmosphere. It gives me chills just thinking about it. I go back and I'll watch the highlights, but I try and move on because I know, that's a motivational factor for those guys. And we haven't done anything yet, but oh man, what a rivalry. What a rivalry between these two programs. I love it. And I think sometimes that gets lost in the mix with high school football nowadays, and people are scared to have that type of rivalry. And it's real, man. It is real. I'll tell you that.
It's definitely real, and we've been able to talk to both sides of it. That's for sure. I do want to give you a chance to highlight your staff and the people that you have working behind you that are making this program so great before we get you out of here.
Yeah, I mean, first I'd like to say, Coach Harris has done a phenomenal job, and he's my number one guy when I go to someone for offense, protection and run game, and not much pass game because he's an O-line guy, but I give him a shout out for what he does. And then Sean Alazos has kind of stepped into a great role for us as a defensive coordinator this year. He's kind of my right-hand guy when I need something on that side of the ball, and I'm going to give him all the trust in that side of the ball. He's going to put us in great situations over there. And then, Carl DeVanzo has been here for the last 10 or so years. He's been a great assistant coach for us. Bob Shepard is an experienced guy. He was the OC here back in early 2000s, and, great football mind for us. Jordan Voitis is a newcomer, Poland guy, but I love his work ethic and what he's doing as a coach for us. And then we were able to add Dale Mitchell as well, an old Louisville guy. And, he saw some reminiscences or some similarities between the programs of Louisville back in the, mid 2000s in our program, and kind of wanted to be a part of it. And then we got a guy from Western Reserve named Chris Thomas, who's volunteering. Those guys are putting in all this time, and, we wouldn't be where we are without those guys. So, I appreciate them, especially taking all the time away from their families. I think that stuff goes understated. But just we're in a good situation over here at West Branch, and hopefully we can keep this thing rolling.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and giving us a preview of what we think is one of the most exciting programs in the area this year. We can't wait to cover them all season, and we look forward to having you again on as the season progresses.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. And as always, go Warriors.
Coach Tim Cooper of West Branch joining us to talk, like I said, probably one of the more exciting programs of football in the area to talk about when you think of what their outlook is and what their potential is on what they could be.
Absolutely. And I mean, like I said, you play in the conference that they do. They have the non-conference games that they do. They open up with Canfield. I mean, exciting schedule to go along with an exciting team. It's just exciting times in Warrior country for the football team. And I think it all starts this year too. I mean, you got Drew DeShields coming back for senior season, pinnacle season for the young man now, right? This is where you kind of put it all together.
There's no more pressure of the next level on his shoulders either. He can completely and totally focus on what he has to do to make sure West Branch is as good as they can be. it's a lot of stress. We've talked to a lot of players that get signed before their season starts, and they say how much a relief it is to not have to worry about the recruiting process during their season. And now Drew's going to be in that category where he doesn't have to worry about impressing college coaches or trying to reach out to college coaches while he's out on the field. He's just completely locked in.
And
all on West Branch.
If I'm not mistaken, Coach Cooper, I believe, said that West Branch has more receiving threats this year. He said
they're deeper at receiver this year than last.
And that made me raise my eyebrows because it just means more weapons for Drew to Shields to
I think
throw.
the entire EBC was watching the show and went, "Oh my god!"
It's definitely gonna be exciting times. You give Drew a bunch of weapons and a bunch of targets, he's gonna make defenses pay all day.
Sometimes it's counterintuitive, but sometimes losing a great receiver can make your quarterback a little bit more diverse in how he spreads the ball around. We saw this, I believe, in Detroit, to bring the NFL into it. The year after Calvin Johnson left Detroit, Matt Stafford had better numbers. He spread the ball around a little bit more, wasn't forcing the ball to his best receiver. It's hard not to force the ball to Calvin Johnson. It's also hard not to force the ball to Nick.
It's hard not to fall in love with one receiver too if you start building that chemistry and connection.
You start to get in trouble for a minute, and you're like, okay, there's Nick Wilson. I'm gonna try to force the ball to him. That probably was a little bit of a temptation last year. Well, now you got a lot of people you can trust out on the field. You got a lot of, like you said, a lot of depth in the receivers category. So maybe this year we see Drew DeShields a little bit more willing to really spread the ball around.
And if you saw the way the passes were designed too, I mean, the way that Coach Cooper is going to design this offense, no two receivers I really expect to be even alike in that. I mean, different receivers that can do different things. You're going to have your speed threat guys. You're going to have your guys that can go in the slot. You're going to have your short threats. I mean, you're going to have guys that can go in the screen game as well, too, and pick up yards that way. I mean, there's going to be so many different ways to attack for this Warriors offense because they're going to have so many different receivers that I think are going to excel at doing different things really well. And I think that's what's going to make this Warrior team kind of transcendent to the next level of dangerous because they're going to be able to beat you in multiple ways.
If we were looking at Warriors last year, I think the one thing that they have to kind of take the next step in run game on both sides of the ball. You still have to establish the run on offense and stopping the run on defense. Howland was a great example of that game last year against Howland. Howland came into that game. Everyone kind of knew their identity was running the ball, run the ball. And they ran the ball pretty well against West Branch. They pushed West Branch to the edge. So I think West Branch's run defense and run offense are the two kind of focus points I put on. Can they take the next step this year and be as elite as their pass game and their pass defenses?
You're right that Howland definitely They definitely forced West Branch into the closest game of one of the closest games, I think, of the regular season. Second closest. It was right behind, I think, Salem, too.
It was until Salem. It was the closest game until Salem.
But you also look a little bit further, the reason why they got stopped dead in their tracks, too. You look at the game against Ursuline, 64 points of offense. DeMarcus McElroy did some work against the West Branch defense in that run game, and he really established things for Brady Shannon, opened that up defensively.
But I think who really did the work was Ursuline's offensive line.
Well, yeah, offensive line did the work, but
they were pushing against the ball, they were driving the defensive line back, and they were giving DeMarcus McElroy holes that any running back could really find a way to run through.
And that was the biggest key. I mean, that was the run game was established. If, like you said, and if West Branch can get creative too, and if you don't have size, there's ways to get creative with stopping that run game, and might be utilizing another linebacker.
Their EBC kind of goes right into their strengths because the better teams in the EBC are more of the same offense. They run the spread. They're not going to try to ground and pound you. Salem does the spread. They have a run game, but they don't have we're going to run first, run 3 times, 3 yards, cloud of dust. So when they run into those, maybe I don't know how Revere and Woodridge, what their offensive schemes are, but if they run into those offenses that really want to ground and pound, I think that'll really prepare them. And you brought up something that we didn't talk about, but there's a regular season rivalry that is still there, but no more postseason rivalry with Ursuline, which was just heating up. Like it was just starting to get really good. 2 years in a row, 2 pretty good games between West Branch and Ursuline. And now Ursuline moves up to Division 3. So no more of that rivalry in the postseason.
I think West Branch, considering they fell on the wrong end of it 2 years in a row, I think West Branch thank you that Ursuline is out of this division.
There's a part of them that said that, but I think there's also a part of them that are like the competitor in them is saying, I wanted let's give one more shot at that team, you know.
I mean, you can't this year, but you might see next year they end up on the on Ursuline's schedule in the regular season. So
it'll be, and then who knows? In 2 years, Ursuline's always on that tipping point. Maybe
it's mutually beneficial still because I mean Ursuline doesn't lose a whole lot competing down one division, and I mean West Branch doesn't lose at all competing up a division, and you don't play each other in the playoffs too. So it's just really 2 really good football teams that would go.
Let's be real. 2 years from now, Ursuline is a team that's always on that fence of divisions, so they might go right back to Division 4. So maybe not the end of the rivalry forever, but definitely the end of the rivalry in this year's edition
for
the postseason.
For the time being, no doubt. But I mean, you're right with the amount of teams that are running the spread too. That's a whole nother conversation. I mean, it's pretty wild to look at the EBC, and you're absolutely right. A lot of those good teams run that spread offense. Just thinking back again, like 10 years ago, how the game has evolved locally from how many teams now operate out of spread offenses and pass the ball a lot more.
And the teams in the EBC that don't run the spread are, I mean, you don't want to sound too, hypercritical, but it's because they don't have the athletes to run the spread. So they have to run the run game, but they also don't have the personnel to be very successful at that offense. So it doesn't really push your run defense to stop those kind of teams.
Even teams doing it in the lower levels too. I mean, like Lowville is even a great example of like a lower division team that can run the spread and run it super effectively too.
I like that because they have to. Like you could not put those players in.
Oh my god!
It would be so bad.
They can't do that. They're not built for that.
You can't put a parking brake on a cheetah. Come on.
No, you can't tell those guys to be linemen and play as extra blockers.
Hey, Panofsky, we want you to be a blocking tight end.
And the best coaches, like we got a chance to talk to, the best coaches will find the scheme that best fits their players instead of trying to force players into a scheme. That's the biggest key.
That's always been the key to success when you are talking about a coach that has successful tenure at a school. Obviously, every time you get new players, you're going to get new skill sets, and you have to be able to adjust to that. And a lot of coaches in the area have proven they are willing to do it. So with that being said, we're going to take our next break on Running Point. We'll be back with more on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our family's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Check us out online at MyersFamilyINS.com or find us on Facebook.
It's a new year at Acura of Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi with huge savings on over 350 fully inspected vehicles. We have cars, trucks, SUVs, minivans, and work vehicles. We don't have it, our team will find it. We aim for 100% credit approval with payments as low as $99 per month. And as always, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. For a great vehicle and a great experience, come see why everyone is stopping by at Acura of Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting, where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education, and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
You know, being able to have success on the football field and the basketball court and just every aspect of, my sports career is now documented. And one of the greatest things about high school sports is to be able to talk about it for the rest of your life and to look back on the days with my buddies whenever we had some battles, whether it was our rival or just another game. And I could go back and look at it and, not only myself, but my family members, my teammates, and it's something that will last a lifetime. My name is Parker Sherry, and my sports network is your sports network.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Welcome back to Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell, and we are heading into the final stretch of the show, Ty, and we have had great conversations with Angela Jones, the head volleyball coach at Springfield, and also Tim Cooper, the head football coach over at West Branch. But we want to kind of continue our volleyball previews, or schedules, I should say, schedule rundowns, as we get ready for not just the football season, but the volleyball season as well. And we've done the AAC, we've done the EBC. Let's go to
the Buckeye 8.
And the Buckeye 8, East Liverpool and Beaver Local and Edison. But now let's go into the EOAC. And Ty, you can't start with anyone except Wellsville. I think they're going to be the team that everyone talks about. They're one of the more successful programs in the area, period. And I think that's where you have to start if you're talking about EOAC volleyball.
I think so as well. And I mean, EOAC volleyball, this is the top of the class, I think.
Everyone knows they have to go through Wellsville to get the conference. And there are teams that have a chance to do it, especially Columbiana. But they know if they want to win the conference, they have to go through Wellsville.
A perfect 16-0 in conference play last year, where the tie 27-1 too. I mean, they were
the last game of their season.
Yeah, them and Crestview had undefeated regular seasons. I remember that. Fond memories of that. And I mean, fond memories too of Wellsville getting plenty of 3-0 set sweeps last year, only dropping a set to Columbiana, Beaver Local, 2 to Western Reserve, in 2 in the regular season, 1 in the playoffs, and then losing to Monroeville. But they only dropped in a 27 win stretch. They only dropped a total of 5 sets in their first 27 wins. So I'd say cream of the crop is right on par, and you can't go further than Presley Stokes that leads things off over there, though.
No, I mean she's going to be the most talked about player. Yes, they lose a couple of other pieces. I think their biggest loss as far as the seniors that graduated was Emily McNichol, who was their setter last year. Went down in that regional final, had to miss a set, come back in a set, not 100%. I think that affected their ability to win that game. I think they were pretty comparable to Monroeville, honestly.
Right.
And, unfortunately, McNichol could not get back to 100%. So losing her as a senior, who's going to set the ball to Stokes. But defense is going to be strong in the back row. That's the one question Mark Wellsville has. And you look at their schedule, they open with Western Reserve on Monday, August 22nd. And then they have East Palestine, and then they have I'll go home against East Palestine, away against Lisbon, away against Valley Christian, back home against Latonia, then they go to Southern, home against Columbiana, home against Fort Fry, to Toronto, home against United at East Palestine. They go to Fort Fry, so they play that team twice. And then they go to CCHS in Steubenville, and then they go to home against Lisbon, home against Valley. They'll play at East Palestine, home against Edison, away against Latonia, home against Southern, away against Columbiana, and then they'll finish the season on the 6th as their locked-in schedule finishes on the 6th, I should say. At United, they have 2 dates on Tuesday the 11th and Saturday the 15th that are opponent to be determined. They have a neutral tournament that they are playing in both those days. So they should have games on the 11th and the 15th of October, but as of now, those games are not locked in their schedule of who their opponent will be.
We talk about freshmen that make a name for themselves. I just want to run through Presley Stokes' stat line as a freshman last year. 431 kills on a 53.1% kill percentage. Her hit percentage was .417.
We've talked about a hit percentage before, attack percentage, whatever you want to call it. This is total attacks under kills minus errors. And it's 417?
Yeah.
417 is ridiculous. That means almost half of her swings end up in kills. Minus errors. So end up in kills, even subtracting her errors.
You got to also remember, too, other big stat contributors. Elena Amato is a senior this year. She had 348 kills last year, 42% kill percentage, 313.313 hit percentage, too. That's solid coming back as a senior, too. So huge pieces. And also their dig leader as well from a year ago, Ramsey, should be coming back as a senior. Aubrey Ramsey.
Ty, while you have their stats up, was there anyone else that really got assists outside of McNichol?
I mean, you look at the assists that they had too for ball handling.
I couldn't really remember if they ran a 6-2. I don't think they did.
They did. They had Green that also had 400. Paige Green had 430 assists.
They might go to a 5-1, or they might have a young setter that comes up to let them still run that 6-2.
There really wasn't too much that. I mean, a few players had like assists, but you got to figure that's just in the course of the game. None of them were really better.
Pretty much Paige Green and Emily McNichol.
Yeah, McNichol had 370 assists last year too. So you're going to have to figure that out. But, I mean, Wellsville, a great program. The big thing is you got your attackers check marked. You got I guess your libero, I would say, then in Ramsey too with 374 digs a year. Right. So some key pieces are coming back for sure for them.
Look, either they're going to have Green run a 5-1 and have her be the main center of the whole system, or they're going to have someone else in their ranks, whether it be a young player or someone else that was, going to be growing into a setter role, come in and run a 6-2. You'd love to run a 6-2 with the hitters they have to keep all those hitters in the front row. But, if you have to have Paige Green be your 5-1 setter, I don't think that would be much of a down step either.
Amato, too, also had 47 blocks last year. Stokes had 59, and you're bringing back Samantha Drysdale, who's going to be a junior this year, 62 blocks from a year ago. So that's another key big piece that's going to be back this year.
Their block was a big reason why they were successful. Their block was a big reason why they were successful. It's why they took one set against Monroeville. It was pretty much their block took advantage of that set. When you look at it, the schedule, this Western Reserve game to lead off the season, this was a tournament rivalry and a long time going. I mean, it seemed like every year Western Reserve would win their district, Wellsville would win theirs, and they'd end up playing each other in a regional, or they'd play each other in a district championship game. It always seemed like it would be Western Reserve Wellsville in the postseason. Now they're opening up the season with each other. That should be a fun one off the jump. And then, obviously the conference play. I don't sleep on United, even though we talk a lot about Columbiana. I think United will be a good volleyball program. How about 2 games against Fort Fry, a regional team, not even in our region. So that's gonna be fun to see Fort Fry come to Wellsville and then have Wellsville travel to Fort Fry.
That's exactly what you want to see, though, from these teams that are well aware. But we saw it with Crestview. We're seeing it again with Wellsville. These teams that a year ago were dominant, adding and beefing up that schedule, non-conference, the schedule that they can control, trying to make sure that they get those teams that can really test them before the tournament.
I'm interested. I'm going to go see what Fort Fry's record was last year real quick. So we go into, 2021. Last year, Fort Fry was 24-3. So if that tells, they're going to play a good team, really good team.
I was going to say Fort Fry seems, if I wasn't mistaken, is usually a good program.
Unless they move, they are Division 3 too. So that's going to be a division up from Wellsville, who's in Division 4.
And hey, that only benefits Wellsville, right? That only benefits them. Test themselves with a great team that's not even in your division that you wouldn't see in a state title run. That's beautiful.
All right, so we already went over Columbiana's schedule because we had their coach on, Coach Martin, in a coach's corner. You can find that on ysnlive.com. Let's look at United's schedule, as we think they'll be a pretty good contester in the EOAC. They open up things on Tuesday the 23rd at Columbiana. Then they will travel to East Palestine, and then they'll have their home opener on Monday the 29th against Salem. Back to the EOAC, going to Lisbon. They'll return home to Valley Christian. Another non-conference road game against Alliance, and then they'll return to the conference play at Latonia, home against Southern, and then they'll go back out of the conference to travel to Heartland Christian. Then they will have the game at Wellsville, game home against Columbiana, non-conference game at Minerva, non-conference game at Poland. They'll host East Palestine, host Lisbon, host Lordstown, host Rootstown. They will travel to Valley Christian, host Latonia, host Heartland Christian, travel to Southern, and then their last game of the season, as we said in Wellsville's schedule breakdown, the United's last game of the season is at Wellsville on the 4th of October.
And the thing is, I mean, yeah, they were 6-15 last year talking about United, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, only like one senior, if I'm not mistaken. I think 1 or 2 seniors last year, so very, very young. You're bringing back one of your kill leaders in Grayson Kidder that had 110 kills last year. You're also going to bring back your assist leader in Olivia Grubb. She had 176 last year. She'll be coming back as a senior. So it was a young team that that got a lot of experience last year too. And that's basically what you're going to be bringing back, is a lot of experience. And you also bring back Kidder, that I mentioned, who had 40 blocks, but also Taylor Cope had 47. Those were 2 really big block leaders up front.
And like Wellsville, United is going to win a lot of games based on their blocking. If their net defense can slow down offenses and get pressure off of their back row, then they'll be okay. And they have a really tough schedule. I mean, they have Rootstown on non-conference. They have Lordstown non-conference. They have 2 against Heartland Christian, who's a good program. They have Poland non-conference, Minerva non-conference, I should say, and Alliance non-conference, not to mention Salem. So they have a little EBC trip around the block with Minerva, Salem, and Alliance. And then they have, Poland, of course, Rootstown, Lordstown. So that's a pretty tough non-conference slate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect slate that'll test them right before tournament time too. And I mean, they really mixed in a lot of good non-conference games throughout. I mean, their conference. It's not like divided up or divvied up at all. It's really, except for like the last stretch, obviously not even, because Heartland's in there as well. They mixed in a lot of these non-conference games within their schedule. I like the way they did it.
And home and home against the Heartland Christian that'll be a fun battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Heartland Christian always gets up and are competitive.
So we go from United. Let's take a look at Lisbon's schedule this year as they go into another volleyball season. And they will open the year on Tuesday the 23rd at Southern. Then they will, they will host Heartland Christian, host Wellsville, host United. So they have 3 home games after starting the season on the road. They will have another road game against East Palestine, at Columbiana, at Toronto. Then they will host Valley Christian, go to Latonia. They will be home against Malvern, who seems to pop up on every Lisbon schedule. I think they like Lisbon because Malvern and Lisbon seem to play each other in every sport. Then we will go home against Southern. They will go away to Malvern, so they'll host Malvern and travel to Malvern. At Wellsville, at United, back to Heartland Christian. Then they will host East Palestine, host Columbiana, and then finish the season on October 12th, home against Jackson Milton.
Eliza Baker was the real story for this team last year as a sophomore, 185 kills as a sophomore, 258 digs. Most kills on the team, and she was second in the team in digs as well. So you're bringing her back for her junior year. That's going to be helpful for them. Also bringing back for their junior year, too, 377 assists last year for Brooklyn Cousins. That was their primary setter last year. So you bring that back. You bring one of your top attackers from a year ago. I mean, hey, it's just a team that just is getting older. You got a lot of your key pieces, too, that are going to be a little bit more experienced going into this year.
I've said it before, in volleyball, when you're a head coach and you're looking at who you're bringing back, I think the setter is that most important piece you look at. Am I bringing back my setter? If I can do that, then I can build around it. Setter is so important. Setter's your point guard, your quarterback, whatever position of sport you want to compare her to. You can't run an offense without a setter that knows how to get the ball to your defense, to your hitters. So they're returning their setter, and that's one step in the right direction for Lisbon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to start a setter as a sophomore, I mean, what more can you ask for? Here's another stat I want to shout out. Eliza Baker, 63 aces last year. Too. That's a pretty
number, man.
That's a pretty dang good number. So you're bringing that back too as a junior. It should be fun. They're going to have a little bit of a junior tandem now. Now they're going to have their key production leaders be upperclassmen for the first time.
And this is a trend, but these last 4 games, tough. You Heartland Christian, East Palestine, Columbiana, and then a really good Jackson Milton team who we think is going to be a competitor in the MVAC Scarlet tier.
Heartland Christian's not a part of the EOAC, but they're kind of like a tag along right now with the bus. They're kind of just like riding along with the EOAC this season because they're featured on, I'm pretty sure, just about every one of the team's schedules too. They scheduled almost the entire EOAC. But hey, like we said, it's good competition all around, and it benefits all these teams. So again, Lisbon just looking to make sure that they're beefed up and ready for the tournament once it starts.
And when I look at their schedule as well, I think a game that pops out at me is their EOAC opener is Wellsville United, East Palestine, Columbiana. That's a tough 4-game stretch in the league.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a 4-game stretch. It's going to determine a lot as far as what the conference is going to look like.
You ain't kidding. I think we have time for one more schedule breakdown, and let's go into East Palestine and see what
you gotta talk about the Bulldogs.
Right? I mean, we're in East Palestine. Let's go into East Palestine, see what they have cooking up for us in this schedule. They open the season on Tuesday the 23rd away against Wellsville. Their home opener will be the next Wednesday on the 24th. They will host Youngstown East before they host United. Back on the road at Columbiana. Then, hey, there's that Heartland Christian team that keeps popping up in the conference. They will host Heartland Christian on the 31st to close out August. In September, they will host Lisbon, host Valley Christian, host Latonia, go to Southern. They will go to Cheney, back home against Wellsville, to United, to Heartland Christian again, host Columbiana. They will play Wellsville at home, and then they will have a away game against Lisbon, and they close out the season on the 6th away against Southern.
you look at it too. I mean, this was a team last year in East Palestine, talking about them 9-5 in the conference, 14-8 overall, successful volleyball team all around. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Maya Lee coming back for her senior season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe if I'm not mistaken, I think it's senior season. 259 kills though.
I think everyone in the EOAC is hoping yes.
Yeah. 259 kills from a year ago. But also, this was an East Palestine team that started a bunch of sophomores and freshmen that got significant playing time. Ellie Berger was one of those, too, as a freshman. Zimmerman, too, as a sophomore, getting significant playing time. This is going to pay dividends for East Palestine. I mean, you got Maya Lee at the helm that's going to be leading you, too. 250-plus kills from a year ago. You know that she's going to be one you can go to. But you have so many other pieces that are still going to be here. And like I mentioned, too, Berger, 286 digs from a year ago. That's going to be a huge coming back. And Maya Lee, too, 53 solo blocks. That's a great number, too, when you're talking about blocks. And then you're bringing back Parker, who was your assist leader, 276 assists a year ago, your primary setter. That's huge, and I mean, all these pieces are young freshmen, sophomores, so you get to really develop them for a few years, get to season them for a few years. I think East Palestine is going to be a fun team to watch. We talk about it, 9 wins last year in conference, and you're bringing back pretty much everyone.
What did I say? One of the most important players to bring back is a setter. You have an experienced setter coming back. Your offense can flow. They're used to their hitters. They don't have to work on where the hitter likes the ball set. Get used to what hitters thrives in what situations. None of that. So you bring back your setter, and then that's a good step. And then obviously they're bringing back a lot with Lee coming back, and she's one of the premier hitters in the EOAC. Under the radar, but like you said, 9 wins in the conference last year. That's a couple steps away from being one of the real competitors.
9 wins in the conference with, I believe, 5 sophomores and 4 freshmen that got significant playing time. So you're right there too. The only teams above them were Wellsville, Columbiana, and Southern too. Southern 10-4, Columbiana 11-3, and then of course Wellsville was undefeated. But you're in that top because the next team down, United, was 4-9. So you're in that top upper echelon too of the conference of the volleyball teams competing for top spot. And right now, out of all the teams we're looking at, outside of Wellsville, that's returning a decent amount too, East Palestine's a pretty it's a pretty appeasing to look over there at East Palestine. You're bringing back everyone. It's a young team that's you got to figure getting better if they're playing travel.
And then the big thing about East Palestine, the big question is, can they sneak a game against those 3 teams that we're in front of them? Can they sneak a win against Southern? Can they sneak a win against Columbiana and try to get into that top 3?
The biggest thing too we saw, and that was the case we saw last year. Wellsville and Columbiana, the first matchups against both of them were sweeps against them. Of course, Wellsville swept both times. They did take a game off of, or a set off of Columbiana last time, 3-1. But I mean, you look at their losses, conference losses. Yeah, Columbiana 3-1, Columbiana 3-0, 2-3-0 losses to Wellsville, of course, and then Southern the one time they lost 3-0, but they also beat Southern 3-0 the one time. So they were able to get their wins against Southern. It's basically Wellsville, Columbiana, and surprise, surprise there, right?
So if they can sweep Southern this year, they could get into that 3 spot.
They really can. I mean, it was really that game that Southern won. Southern was able to win the second matchup, too, that determined them being in that 3 spot. Still a great, successful season for a very young East Palestine team.
Yeah, this is an exciting program that is going to have a lot to look forward to. East Palestine, might be one of the best programs in their school system this year.
It very well could be, and I think it's going to make for a very fun EOAC conference this year.
Make sure to get out to that dog pound and rock the gym for East Palestine volleyball. They're going to put on a show. And the rest of the EOAC we will get to tomorrow. So we still have, we have to go over Valley Christian. We still have to go over Latonia volleyball, Southern volleyball. And I think that's it, right? That's all we have. So we'll have Latonia, Southern. What did I just say?
Valley Christian.
Latonia, Southern, and Valley.
Why don't we throw Heartland Christian in there as well?
Yeah.
They're tagging
EOAC, but we'll look at Heartland Christian tomorrow as well. Also tomorrow on the show, we'll have Alyssa Birch from Boardman Volleyball at 12 o'clock to lead things off. And we will also have Kelsey Bigno, the head coach of South Range Girls Soccer, coming on in the show tomorrow as well from 12 to 2 on Running Point, and that'll be a fun time. We're going to take a 22-hour break. Casual Sports Podcast coming up next from 2 to 3. Don't miss the Power Hour. We have a great special guest, Mike McKenzie, as we like to call him, McNuggies. Fresh off his 39 that helped Beaver Local get the first win of the year over Crestview last Friday. So I think last Thursday night we talked about it on Friday. So he'll be on with DJ to talk about not just his golf season, but also looking forward to calling another fall of action at Beaver Local and a couple of Beaver Local teams that you should really, really be excited about hearing Mike McKenzie's calls for in the volleyball and the football realm. So don't miss a chance to hear from Mike McKenzie himself on the Power Hour from 3 to 4. We'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2 after the 22-hour break with Alyssa Birch and Kelsey Benya. Thank you so much for tuning in